I never imagined that a simple decision like hitching a ride would lead to the most horrifying experience of my life. It all started on a dark and desolate highway with no sign of life for miles around. It was late at night, and my heart was pounding with fear and desperation. I had no money, no phone, and my only option was to rely on the kindness of strangers. As I stood by the roadside, I remembered the stern warnings my parents had given me countless times. "Never get into a car with someone you don't know," they would say. "You never know who they might be or what they're capable of." Those words echoed in my mind, causing an overwhelming sense of doubt and terror to wash over me. But with each passing minute, my situation grew more dire, and I felt like I had no choice. Finally, a car appeared on the horizon, its headlights piercing through the darkness. My pulse quickened as the vehicle pulled over, and my trembling hand grasped the door handle. The driver, a middle-aged man with a friendly smile, greeted me warmly. I tried to ignore the unsettling feeling in my gut. After all, I was desperate and needed to reach my destination. I got into the car hesitantly, my mind racing with worst-case scenarios. The driver introduced himself as Mr. Thompson, a seemingly harmless man with an air of mysteriousness about him. As we embarked on our journey, his demeanor remained perfectly pleasant, keeping up a friendly conversation that masked the sinister truth beneath. For the first few miles, I clung to a shred of hope, convincing myself that everything was perfectly normal. But as we traveled deeper into the night, the atmosphere inside the car grew increasingly unsettling. Shadows danced on the empty road, and an eerie silence prevailed, broken only by the faint sound of the engine humming. I glanced nervously at Mr. Thompson, feeling a chill creep up my spine. There was something peculiar about him, something that made my skin crawl. His eyes, once warm and friendly, now held a glint of malice that sent shivers down my spine. Fear clutched at my chest, but I couldn't turn back. I had no choice but to endure whatever awaited me. Time seemed to stretch and warp as our journey continued. My mind struggled to comprehend the surreal events unfolding before me. The car became a vessel of horror, as if it were transporting me to a nightmarish dimension beyond my deepest fears. And then, suddenly, we arrived at the next gas station. Scrambling out of the car, I rushed towards the restroom, my heart pounding with a mixture of desperation and relief. As I stepped in front of the mirror, my breath hitched in my throat, and my blood ran cold. Staring back at me was not the face of a young person, full of life and vibrancy, but the face of a person aged beyond recognition, wrinkled, withered, and aged by 20 long years. I recoiled in horror, my mind struggling to comprehend the impossible. It was as if the car had stolen my very essence, draining away 2 decades of my life with each passing mile. The reality of what had just happened washed over me, plunging me into a deep abyss of despair. I had paid a far greater price than mere money. My youth, my vitality, my very existence had been unknowingly sacrificed on this terrifying journey. From that moment on, I vowed to never hitch a ride again, to never again subject myself to the mercy of strangers. The shadow of that night would forever haunt my every thought, a constant reminder of the harrowing consequences that can befall those who trust too easily. As I watched the car vanish into the night, I couldn't help but wonder how many others had fallen victim to Mr. Thompson's sinister mission. The driver with a friendly smile, concealing a malevolent plan to steal time from unsuspecting souls. And so I walked away from that gas station, forever changed and forever marked by the horrifying truth that some rides come at a price far greater than we could ever imagine.